Good morning, good afternoon, and or evening, and welcome back to the Den and to another Marvel Rivals video for you today. But before we get into that, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for all the support, thank you for all the watch time, thank you for everything you guys have done for me. And speaking of support, we also need to think about all those characters in Marvel Rivals that support us in making our game-changing plays, our pushes onto the objective. They allow our tanks to be these massive walls of just damage-absorbing health. And they also do really cool things like stuns and other kinds of buffs. That's right, today we are talking about the support class in Marvel Rivals. We are talking about all of our lovely strategists, and this Dirty Casual is ranking his bests. Now, I do tend to lean towards characters that have more tools in their toolkit, right? The more options I have, the more flexibility I have, the more I tend to enjoy the character, and the more I tend to kind of lean on playing on them when things are starting to get rough and tough. What do I think of our great characters like Adam Warlock or Cloak and Dagger, which is really two characters if you think about it. But anyways, the Invisible Woman, Jeff the Land Shark, I'm not trying to put her in D, Loki, the mischievous trickster god, and then of course we have Luna Snow, who is a new addition to Marvel, and then we've got our age-old trash panda, the meddler, the mischievous raccoon, always tinkering and building and never being allowed to blow up small moons, Gamora. And you wonder why you're not in the game yet. Well, we also have characters like Mantis, the great celestial diva, who is also a guardian of the galaxy alongside Rocket Raccoon. And then we have a villain, one of the greatest Avenger villains ever, because you can just never get rid of him. So how do I rank all of the strategists here in Marvel Rivals? How do they stack up in my opinion? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, I'm going to start off with Ultron here, right? Ultron, I'm going to be placing him firmly in the C tier. Now, the reason I'm placing Ultron in the C tier is not because he's a bad character. It's because as a support character, he doesn't have a lot of tools in his kit. He's got an attack that does multi-hits, so you can drag it, you can trace somebody, you can hit multiple enemies, you can hit one enemy multiple times. But as far as support abilities go, he's got two imperative moves. One that is a drone, you can move it around at will like Luna Snow's Snowflake. And it does do healing over time, and it also heals in an area, but depending on where you place it, it may not be healing multiple people, or the people may need more healing than healing over time. You can supplement this with the Imperative Firewall, and this gives bonus health as well as damage resistance, but it can be quickly overwhelmed. Now, something that is a bit different about Ultron is his ultimate. His ultimate heals allies that it hits, and it's got some splash damage, and it damages enemies. This is best used when you're attacking the Clash. You got a tank and a couple of DPS going up there, tank and a couple of DPS, and they're all wrapped up in one big group. That's the best time to use Ultron's ultimate ability, because you can both damage enemies and heal your allies. But, and this is as someone who has played extensively against Ultron and played some with Ultron, his healing from his ultimate can be overwhelmed by normal DPS. What do I mean by normal DPS? I just mean people using their abilities and their attacks. Characters like Luna Snow and Mantis can be overwhelmed in their ultimate, although they're pretty much invincible. You have to have some ults hitting them as well as some characters focused DPS in them, but you can, in some rare instances, overwhelm their ultimate. Ultron, you do not need to be using ultimates to overwhelm his ultimate. You can just do it with normal damage. You can get some damage buffs off of a couple of abilities or even one ability, and you can take Ultron out of his ultimate. He's not invincible. He's actually pretty fragile while still in there. He's got decent mobility, but ultimately not a lot of tools in his toolkit, and his healing is not powerful. He does healing over time. He doesn't have any burst healing. The closest thing he's got to that is the Firewall, which doesn't give healing, it gives bonus health. So that's why I'm placing Ultron firmly in the C tier. He's he's a good sniper, right? He's good for supporting the team more with damage from the back line, but there's definitely better healers, if you will, to be taken instead of Ultron. And that, well, let's go ahead and talk about one of those. The character I'm going to be placing in the S tier is Mantis. S tier goes in the Mantis because she has the ability to give herself healing over time and buff herself. She has the ability to give healing over time to allies and buff them. She has the ability to do a small chunk of burst damage and then give healing over time with her main healing ability. The biggest limitation is that all three of those operate off the same pool of these 4 little leaves. And by dealing damage and getting headshots, you can quickly refill these. They refill over time as well. So it does limit her healing ability, but she also has a really good stun ability. And her ultimate makes her pretty much invincible, and it makes pretty much anyone standing in it that's an ally invincible. And I said that really weird there, I apologize. Now you can overwhelm this. Say like you get a Fear Magneto and Maximum Pulse. Yeah, if there's somebody like, say, Scarlet Witch or Cloak and Dagger focus damaging Mantis, those 2 ultimates can overwhelm her healing ability, knock her out of her ult, and end things. Probably kill some of your teammates as well. I've seen that happen once, and it wasn't even a game I was in. But it can happen. Now, talking from some of the community members like Angel and Blue, they also have confirmed that, yeah, you can overwhelm it, but it's really difficult, but it can be done, right? So I'm guessing if you got a team coordinating and trying to pull that off, it can be done, but again, her ultimate pretty much makes her and any of her allies standing in it invincible. Rapid healing, and it's a lot of healing rapidly. Now, she can also kind of double like Ultron, and with her main attack she can sit there and she can focus out some damage again. She can buff herself, which also gives her some healing over time, and she has a great stun ability. I think it's the longest lasting stun in the game. Don't quote me, but off the top of my head, I think it's the longest lasting stun in the game. She's got a lot of tools in her kit. She can damage, she's highly mobile, she's a really fast mover on her feet. She doesn't have really any way to buff her movement. I think she does move faster when she's in her ult, but I mean, she's pretty light and quick on her feet as is, right? She's definitely not slow. I would say in a race she could outrun Ultron. But a lot of ups, not a lot of downs. Of course, she's fragile like all support characters, but she's got a lot of ways to heal, a lot of ways to give herself healing. She's got a great ultimate, a great stun, just a lot of really good tools in her toolkit. And again, in comparison to Ultron, she can even do his job. She's a pretty good all-arounder. Now, another character that also has that ability that I'm going to be placing in the S tier is Invisible Woman. She's just got a lot of great tools in her toolkit. She can do area DOT damage. That area DOT, if you hit a flyer, knocks the flyer down. Her main attack heals allies and damages enemies. It's not something you have to swap in between. It heals allies, damages enemies, and it, without any ability use, automatically goes through allies and opponents, so you can damage and heal at the same time. Plus, it operates like a boomerang. You get the going out and the coming back. So you got 3 people standing in a row. That's it could be 3 damages, it could be 3 heals, it could be 2 damages and a heal, it could be 2 heals and a damage, but it's going to go on the way back. So it's a really good primary attack. As far as supports go, I'd have to say it's tied up there with Luna's, because Luna's does the same thing, damages enemies, heals allies. Invisible Woman's is better because it goes through. She doesn't have to use an ability like Luna does to get the piercing, but it's still good. Now, she also has a really great healing ult that also debuffs enemies that are inside of it. It slows them down. It has a big area of effect. I think it's the biggest area of effect for a healing ult. Luna's and Mantis's is pretty large, but they're able to move around. It's not a stationary thing they place down, so I think the range is a little bit smaller. She also has an invisibility jump, so she can do a double jump to boost herself away, try to get away from whatever's attacking her if she's getting pressed, if something's pushing in on the back line. This turns her invisible, gives her healing over time. And then she has the ability to push and pull enemies with another ability, which does damage. It can kill. It can also push an enemy off the map. It can also pull an enemy into an ult. A lot of great stuff. She's just a really good all-arounder. Also, can't believe I'm bringing this up at this point, but she also has the ability with her ult attack to place up a shield, which blocks damage and heals allies that are near it. So it provides mobile cover and mobile healing, and if you're retracting it back and managing the health of the shield, it's something that you can pretty much constantly pop out. Biggest downside is she can't pop it out on herself. But, you know, if she's doing a good job staying near her allies, she's going to have plenty of targets to be able to place that down. Again, Invisible Woman's just really great all-arounder. From the first game I played Invisible Woman, I fell in love with her as a support character. Same thing with Mantis. Now, someone who has a lot of good stuff going for him, but not as much good stuff, and with how little I've played this guy, and, well, I mean, you might be surprised at where I'm going to put him, but Jeff is a character I'm going to place in the A tier. Now, after some balancing changes, some nerfs to his damage, some buffs to his heals, he's kind of shifted away from a more damage support oriented strategist to a more healing oriented strategist. He can still dish out some pain, he just doesn't have the ability to dish out as much pain at once. You do have to be a little more strategic with his bubbles now. You can't place as many down, but they give healing over time and they give movement buffs to the character that picks them up. He can use them on himself. He can shoot them straight into an ally. He can place them down in an area of combat where he knows some people are going to need healing, but no one needs healing right now, so he's just kind of preemptively thinking about a fight. He's got a really long range on his main attack, which damages enemies a little bit, and it constantly heals allies as long as the stream is on him. It's a low amount, basically like per tick. You know, if you're sitting here looking at like seeing a string of damage numbers pop up, it would be a small number, but because of how quick it is and the fact that he can just hold it on an ally, he can rapidly fill up a tank's health. Even somebody who's done a lot to buff their health, like say Venom eats, he's low on health, he gets a ton of bonus health, you start healing him with Jeff, that Venom's going to be in that fight for a long time. Also, again, he still has the ability to dish out some pain. I also love his mobility, being able to go in the ground. You can still be hit if someone knows what they're doing, but it gives you a lot of mobility options. You can use it to scale walls. You can use it to move more quickly. It gives you a little bit of healing over time. It can allow you to, you know, say get off on a good flank or penetrate behind enemy lines and get to somebody that's been cut off from the rest of the team, or it can just allow you to just get around. I mean, it's just a great movement ability, and it's pretty fast. I'd have to say, when he's swimming underneath the ground and he's land surfing, he's moving as fast as Mantis does at a base level, probably a little bit faster, but again, it's just fast movement. He is pretty good as an all-arounder. His ultimate is why I place him in A. The ultimate usage by the player is going to be what makes or breaks a truly great Jeff. Everybody can pop out the bubbles for healing. Everybody can reach out with that little wave spray, that water jet, and they can touch some enemies and they can touch some allies. Even quick moving flyers, it's pretty easy to track them and heal with that because it does out this little like wave, so you can kind of drag it around. So if they're zip, zap, zoop, and moving, they can be moving through some part of it, even if it's not where you're currently aiming. But the ultimate is something that is really powerful in shutting down opponents' ultimates. It can allow you to nab up the whole team off the objective. You can, you know, run off the edge. I was about to say a word that I think YouTube will probably demonetize me for, but you can run off the edge to knock out the entire enemy team. You can use it to save your team from ults. You can also use it to heal your allies while you know, you got them sucked up in the belly of the well, and you can spit them out in a safe place, and you can spit the opponents out again off the edge in a bad place. There's just a lot of stuff you can do with it. If there are some opponents that are low on health, say you see that their backline is taking some damage, but the diver's just not able to finish the job, you can nab up those backliners, and then you can just run their health down as you just swim around in your ultimate. You don't necessarily have to spit them off of an edge or into a pit or something like that. You can do a really good amount of damage by just running your entire ult out with your opponents trapped inside the belly of the whale. But I'm not the greatest with his ult, and me not being the greatest is not why I'm putting him in A. It's the fact that ult usage is what makes or breaks a truly great Jeff. You can do a lot of good healing, you can do a lot of good damage, you can be mobile, you can distract the opponents with your mobility. But being able to successfully use his ult, that can make or break a match. That can turn a loss into a win. That can turn a, hey, they're about to win round 2, they're at 99%, we can come back, win this one, and then win the Dom game by winning round 3. It's powerful. But if someone's not good with it, you're going to find that Jeff to be a bit lackluster into someone who is good at using it. And it's that ult learning curve. I guess I shouldn't say it's his ult, but more of the learning curve with his ult that really makes or breaks a good Jeff player. That's why I'm putting him in A. He's not as easy to use as someone like Mantis and Invisible Woman. And that's not to say anything bad about Mantis or Invisible Woman. They're just a lot easier to pick up. There's nothing wrong with having a high learning curve. Because again, if you do get good with Jeff's ult, you can make or break a match. And that's a powerful thing. Something else that is a really powerful thing is the ability to revive your opponents, which is what Adam Warlock can do with his ult. Adam also has a hit scan main attack. This is really powerful, especially if you're trying to use him for, say, some anti-air, or you really need to get some picks to finish off someone in their back line that took some damage but was able to kind of get away. You can chit really quick with some hit scan shots. And if you're able to land headshots, you can take them out even quicker, but still, you can take them out with a few really good hit scan shots. He also has the ability to charge up and unleash a shot of 5. This can be really good if, say, you're clashing with the other team on point and you really need to, say, help finish off that tank. That's the move to use. You just have someone dive on you that maybe isn't as mobile as someone like Spider-Man, and you can fight that diver off by doing a big chunk of damage to him and making him go, oh, whoa, hey, maybe this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. His healing ability, it's really unique in the fact that it chains. It's the only one that I've seen that just automatically chains. Now, yeah, you can chain multiple hits with the Invisible Woman. You use Luna's ability and give her piercing, she can hit multiple targets. But this actually chains from one ally to the next, and you can heal people around corners, behind cover, cut off behind some Groot walls that you have no line of sight to because your heal will chain from one ally to the other. It's really powerful. You get to heal multiple allies at once. It does a good chunk of healing. It doesn't give any damage or healing over time, but it does a good chunk of healing all at once. It's a really great burst move. You just have to make sure that you're managing them and spacing them out so you don't run into the cooldown, because you get 2 charges with it, and if you go through both charges before the next one regenerates, you're on a cooldown, and that can suck. You pair this with Soul Bond, which, and I believe this goes through cover as well, doesn't chain from ally to ally, but it hits everybody within a certain range, and it gives healing over time and allows damage to be shared across the entirety of the Soul Bond, lessening damage that one character takes, spreading it out across Adam and that person, and then allowing him to do some chunk healing, or depending on how great or little the damage is, he can let the healing over time from Soul Bond take care of it. Adam is another character that their ultimate makes or breaks a truly great Adam player. A lot of people can get good at using his attacks. A lot of people can get good at managing, spacing out his heals and when to use Soul Bond. But knowing when to revive and your positioning as Adam when you pop the revive, That is key. Also, you need to make sure you have at least one heal or a heal and a soul bond ready to go, because your revive doesn't revive your team at full health. It revives them in a small area, and if the enemy team is on top of you, you pull off the revive, you don't have no heals. Well, as Angel would say, you'll watch everybody you love die in front of you. I've done that once. Just once. And boy, I learned a hard lesson the hardest way possible in that moment. I have played Adam a good bit since. Never pulled that off. Mostly what I do as Adam is I'll see the enemy team go in. The enemy team will have a couple ults going off. I'll pull back. I'll see one person go down. I'll be like, okay, it's going to take a second before the revive actually happens. I'm going to go ahead and pop it because this person just went down. This person's running, this support person's running away. So I'm about to see multiple people die. Good chance to pop my ult, pop it, and no one else dies. Also, not a good feeling. That happens to me, I'm not going to say commonly, but it's happened to me multiple times, whereas reviving everybody and watching them all perish in front of me has only happened once, and I'm intent to never repeat that mistake. And that's really all of Adam's tools. He also has the ability for Mantis and Star-Lord to give them his Cocoon Revive ability, which can be really great for Mantis. I haven't played Star-Lord just yet, but yeah, I've had some Star-Lords that would have had to have used that, and then they came back around and were able to do a lot of great back shooting damage and take everybody out with their ult because we thought Star-Lord was gone. So it can be powerful for him too. And I'm going to be putting Adam in the B tier. Now, me personally, I want to put Adam in the A tier up here with Jeff. I really do. I like Adam. I like playing as Adam. Also, this particular costume skin right here he got from the Dracula Battle Pass. I believe that was the Season 1 Battle Pass. Really great costume. It's not comic inspired, but it's still a really great costume. Objectively, I'm going to put him in the B tier because he doesn't have a lot of heals available to him. You do have a chain heal. It is a good chunk of health. You do have the ability to put Soul Bond down, but even with some chunk healing from, say, like a Cloak and Dagger or a Luna, you can outpace Adam's healing with other characters. It's not that Adam's bad. I personally like Adam. I want to put him here in the A tier, but objectively, he's going to go here in the B tier because while he does do what Mantis can do and what Ultron does by delivering some damage from the backline, he's hit scan, whereas Ultron has a little beam and Mantis shoots out projectiles, I believe. There's people that can do the damage that he can do. There's some support classes like Cloak and Dagger that can outpace the damage that he can do. Being able to revive your teammates is powerful, but it's got a higher learning curve than the Jeff ult. He's really easy to use from the standpoint of, I just need to, pop out a heal or two every now and then and just mainly shoot from the back line. He's really good at that. But there's other characters that can do that, and there's other characters that can outpace his healing. Personally, I'd like to see a little bit of a rework hit Adam at some point. Maybe a little bit of a retuning on how much health he gets back from the Soul Bond. Heck, maybe even another ability that does healing over time, that applies healing over time like Soul Bond, so it doesn't do a chunk. But I don't know, I would just like to see Adam get another tool in general. It could be a stun, it could be a damage reduction, it could be adding bonus health, it could be, I don't know. There's a lot of different powers that Adam has, so you could draw on a lot of different stuff. I would just mainly like to see him get another tool. But now to another character with his own learning curves, we're going to take a look at Loki. Loki is a character that I have seen in experienced hands be absolutely destructive to my team. He has the ability with his ult to either copy one of my team's ults or to copy one of his team's ults. So if you've ever wondered how Luna pulls off her ult so quickly sometimes, it's not her pulling off her ult that quickly, it's Loki. And yes, if he has a Luna on his team, a Mantis on his team, an Invisible Woman on his team, a Cloak and Dagger on his team, he can copy their abilities with his ult, and he can use their ult as well as some of their other abilities. So he could, say, copy a C and D, and then suddenly he can shoot out a blind wave, and now you're going to be taking more damage, and then he can pop off her ult. It can allow ults to double up. It can allow ults to basically be extended. It's a really powerful ult ability. Targeting for his ult can be a bit squiffy though, at least in my hands, which is why I say in experienced hands it can be really destructive. Now he does have the ability to be able to do damage over time and heal well, not damage over time, but damage enemies and heal allies with his main attack. This does it in a splash. The direct attack doesn't actually do the healing or the damage, it's the splash that does. So you kind of have to aim a little to the side of where you're wanting things to actually land, and you kind of have to know the range on his attack or shoot the ground near enemies or allies. He's tricky. He also has the ability to do a backstab melee attack that does extra damage. He also has the ability to place out clones. And if you think that the learning curve for Loki is going to come from his ult, it's not. It's going to come from where you place his clones. You can place out 3 different clones, and with the 3 different clones, these guys will target whoever you are targeting. So if you're shooting at an enemy, they're going to shoot at that enemy. Really more, they shoot where you shoot. So if you're shooting like beside the enemy so the splash hits them, they're going to do the same. If you're shooting towards an ally to heal them, they're going to do the same. So being able to place these guys quickly in an area where they can all shoot at what you want them to, but you say have one on a different elevation, one behind some cover that can't be seen, that is key. Not only because he has the ability to get out of danger by swapping with one of his clones, but because these clones are also going to have his little rune that places up the area of effect for his healing. So to maximize his biggest healing, which until the rune gets destroyed makes people inside of it practically invincible, you have to know how to place those clones. You have to move into an area with your team. You have to see where they're moving, where they're going to be grouping up. You have to be able to place your clones around them and in a position to where they can attack your opponents. If you want to end up, say your team is winning and you need to turn towards damaging an opponent, or you need to turn towards damaging a diver, you have to be able to place them in different areas all around, so that way you've got plenty of healing for your team, and because they're not always going to be looking for that area, you have to be able to kind of be able to place it on them, and you have to be able to have them in an area where you can escape, where you have options for escape, or just options to throw off the enemy team, or be able to damage the enemy team. There's a lot that goes into his clones, and knowing the map knowledge and situational awareness, that is key for his clones. But they can be really powerful. I've kind of gotten to the point that if I see a Loki clone, but I don't see any other Loki clones or a Loki, I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of that Loki clone real quick, because I don't know what he's planning on doing with it. I don't know what his strategy is. Everybody else is ignoring those, so I'm just going to get rid of it, kind of like an onk. He also has an invisibility move where he moves faster. It doesn't break targeting. It doesn't quickly get him out the way, but he does move faster in it. It's something that you can use if you can tell someone's going to be coming after you and you need to get away, but you've got like a second or two before you have to get away. That's when his invisibility comes into play. But those clones, man, that's what it all comes down to. Ultimately with Loki is those clones. And that learning curve, it can be difficult. It can be something that you pick up easy. I guess it kind of depends upon the player. But that map knowledge, that tactical awareness, being able to move your clones around, place them down quickly, that is really powerful. But it comes with a high learning curve, right? Loki is a character that I want to place in the B tier because of how unwelcoming he can be to a new player, just having to have all this knowledge about him that his where you're shooting is not what is actually doing the healing or the damage, it's the splash. Knowing about that, knowing about clone placement and how important that is, knowing about, hey, if I'm going to try to copy an ult, I need to be very selective and I need to have a good vantage point so I can't, somebody can't wander in front of me on my team and then I copy the wrong ult. There's just a lot of knowledge that you have to have with Loki, but once you do have that knowledge, he is really, really powerful. I'm going to put him up in the A tier, even though I personally want to put him in the B tier because he has some really high learning curves. Ultimately, once you do learn those things, and a lot of those things I learned just after a conversation with some of my community members, I learned all of those things. They were able to inform me about all that stuff. So if you were to watch a video on that and you had that knowledge and you started playing with him, he can be a very powerful character. So even though I personally want to put him down here in the B tier, I know from painful personal experience that he actually belongs in this A tier. Not necessarily because of all the healing abilities he has or all of the supporting abilities he has, but the way in which this trickster can support his team. They are all designed primarily around throwing off your opponents. And that, in a game like Marvel Rivals, you pull someone's attention away for even say a second from where it needs to be, that can turn a loss into a win. So let's look at another character that may not end up where you think he's going to be, and that's going to be my boy Rocket. Oh my gosh, one of my top favorite Marvel heroes. He is me in a raccoon body in Marvel Comics. I just love the guy so much. Love his personality. Love the stuff he does as a character. He's always really great and humorous. He's even got some sly stuff he slips in there. He's wild, he's chaotic good, but he's still wild and chaotic, and I just absolutely love him. Plus he's got this really cool skin I like to keep on him. He's got another skin, a Venomified skin this season, but I don't know, the whole cowboy bounty hunter thing just, I don't know, it really does it for me. And I want to put Rocket, I've played Rocket the most out of all the support characters, so you would think I'm going to place him up here in an S tier, right? Because I've played him so much, I know him in and out, I know what he can do. They've even kind of changed around his abilities in his team up, so he's actually a little bit more of a support guy than what he was. He can do a bit more supporting wise than what he used to be able to do. He also doubles as a good anti-air or anti-dive, being able to dish out a lot of damage, and you can land a lot of criticals pretty quickly. So he's got some good all-aroundness to him, but kind of like Adam, there are characters that can do everything that he does, but a little bit better. One of the things I love the most about Rocket is his low profile. There's a ton of stuff I can walk behind, hide behind, and people literally can't see me until they get on it. As an example, the Midtown mission, I can hide behind the little convoy vehicle. The other team's not going to know it until they're on top of the convoy vehicle. But I can do that. I can hide there. I can use it as cover. I can jump in the chariot on Igzard and use it as cover and just turn around and just constantly heal my teammates. It's good. I love the BRB, the ability to pull someone right back into the fight. You know, got to make sure you have good placement with it. Sometimes I get a little careless. Now, in this season, paired up with Penny on your team, it also spits out mines. And it used to, as it always has, it pops out these little things that give bonus health. It's a really great ability that comes back pretty darn quickly, and you can pull it back to save some of the recharge. His ultimate ability affects a wide area, not as big as, I would say it's up on the order of like Mantis and Luna. I wouldn't say it's like up on the order of Invisible Woman. It now gives healing over time as well as buffs. He's just a really great general. I kind of want to do some healing. I want to do some damage. I want to have some mobility. He's got it all. He doesn't have a stun. I don't really think he needs a stun, but he doesn't have a stun. But even though I think all these great things about Rocket, and I personally love Rocket, my instinct, because I know he's not an S tier, is to put him in the A tier because of how much I love him, how good I am with him. But objectively, because there's other characters that can do everything he does, only better, I'm going to have to put him down here in the B tier. And that breaks my heart. He goes in the B for breaking my heart, B tier, right? Two characters I personally like that I personally want to put up here in the A tier. but I know objectively there are other characters that do what they do, but better. Kind of want to flip-flop right now. Put him in the A tier. Say, no, he's my boy. He's good. I know he's good. But objectively, he goes in the B tier. So that leaves us with Luna, Snow, and Cloak and Dagger. Both of these must be going in that S tier, right? Maybe. Maybe not. But let's look at one that you can pretty much guarantee was going to go in the S tier, and that's Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger, 2 characters in one, awesome and amazing on both ends. You have a damage focus side, and you have a healing focus side. The damage focus side can also do a blind. It can apply a debuff to enemies where they take extra damage while they're affected by the debuff. He has the ability to break targeting, move through the air. It's not a quick move, but it breaks targeting. It's a good out. It does take a second to put it up, so if they're on you and you're taking damage, it's not going to be a good out. But if you can tell they're going to be getting on you and you got a second, like Loki's Invis, you can use it to get away more times than not. Their Dagger's main attack has a bit of auto tracking on it. Aim assist, if you will, I guess. The attack will go towards who you were targeting if they kind of move out the way a little bit. She's got that tracking. Cloak, his attack locks onto an enemy like Scarlet Witch, so the same kind of things, like enemies moving in your way that can change your targeting, break targeting on the person you're wanting to hit, just like with Scarlet Witch. But it's powerful, and I know it does more damage than Scarlet Witch. I don't remember if it does like per tick of damage if it's doing a higher number than Scarlet Witch. I think it ticks faster than Scarlet Witch is how I think it does more damage, but it can be painful. A really good Cloak and Dagger player can not only be the thorn in your side that's flanking you, knocking out your backline, but it can also be the thorn in your side that's keeping the opposing team from dying. It's like you have the best of all worlds. Well, no, I won't say all worlds, but you have the best of both worlds. Healing and damage wrapped up into one. You got a powerful main attack with Cloak. You got a good burst healing with Dagger that also does some tracking. It doesn't go through opponents, but it does do a little bit of tracking. Dagger can damage opponents too, but Cloak is definitely the way to go for damage. Dagger also has a little bubble she can pop out for healing. She can use that for herself. She can use that for allies. She can throw it out ahead of her team to be like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and throw this on the point because I know we're going to be getting on the objective, so here's a point of healing on the objective. She has the ability to throw out a wall like Cloak, but instead of it applying a debuff and blinding, it does a little bit of healing, applies healing over time. Most importantly, any healing that Cloak or that Dagger does after that point to that character is buffed. Really great. Really great. Really great if your player is just a support. You can even play Cloak and Dagger as, you can even play him as just a damage class. It's good. It's like support and DPS both rolled into one. The ultimate also does damage to opponents, healing to allies. You get these 4 little dashes. You can make an area of effect. You can wall off an area. You can provide a little circle for your teammates. You can enclose enemy opponents. Just absolutely awesome and amazing from all angles. The biggest learning curve with Cloak and Dagger is figuring out when to swap. When do I swap to Cloak? Throw out a little bit of damage, a debuff. Do I swap apply a debuff for my teammates and then immediately swap back to do healing? Do I swap and stay? Do I swap at all? That's the biggest learning curve, but as someone who has quickly fallen in love with playing Cloak and Dagger as a support character, it's not that high of a learning curve. Like, you'd think it would be a bigger learning curve than what it ends up being. Most oftentimes, I still run into the learning curve of I should have swapped to Cloak like a second sooner so I could have popped his cloak ability and then I would have gotten away. Between these 3 right here, I'd say it's a pretty hard debate over which is actually the best. Personally, I would say that out of all 3 of these S tier, Cloak and Dagger is the best of them, but there's some really powerful invisible women out there that are game changing. There's some really powerful mantises out there that are game changing. I've been the game changer for both of those. I've also been the game changer for a cloak and dagger. All three of them are really powerful, and ultimately, which one of these is the absolute best, I think is going to come down to more personal preference than anything. Which leaves us with very last, Luna Snow. Luna, like Jeff over here, Luna Snow. Oh, nope, I'm not trying to put you in the D tier. Oh, it's not going to let me take it out. Okay, well, I'm not trying to put her in the D tier, but like Jeff over here, Luna is a character that flew under my radar. Jeff's been around for a while. Luna's a bit newer, but she seems like a rich character from the little bit of lore that I've gotten to read about her in Marvel Rivals, which is, of course, unique to Marvel Rivals. She's got some really great abilities. She has the ability to place down a snowflake on somebody so that person gets healing as she heals somebody else. You can place that down on a dive character or a flanker or a ranged person that you're not going to be looking at regularly, so you can ensure you're going to be healing them too. You can move it around at will pretty regularly. There are times that I'll sit there and I'll kind of bounce back and forth between like two DPS characters, just constantly rebounding it between the two while I'm focusing healing on the tank or another support. She has the ability to give herself piercing, which also gives her healing over time from her passive, and she has a stun. The stun is a bit tricky. You have to kind of get it launched into the air and traveling at the opponent before you actually kind of need to, so you have to have sort of like a second of anticipation to really be able to stun with it effectively, because you could stun somebody in their ult, but it won't say cancel their ult. But if you can stun them before they technically pull off the ult with it, which comes after the I believe comes after the auditory cue, you can stun them out of their ult, but it's a bit tricky. Even if you don't do that, being able to stun somebody in general in Marvel Rivals is really powerful, and because of her passive, shooting out the freeze gives herself healing over time. She has a really powerful ult. She can swap between a damage buff or healing. There is a reason that Luna has been a heavily relied on support character from the start of Season 0 onward, and it's because of all of her healing abilities. Being able to pierce, being able to heal allies, being able to damage opponents, being able to put a snowflake down so she can technically heal 2 or more people at once, because if she does the piercing thing, she could technically hit multiple allies, do some burst healing on them, and then give in a little bit of burst healing up over here on a third person. That is just powerful. She has pretty good mobility too. Like, being able to skate around when she gets going on the skate, she can move around fast. She can move around faster than Mantis does at a base level, but Mantis at a base level and Luna moving around without her skate, kind of the same thing. I think she's got the most healing tools in her kit, so she's like the most healer out of all the support classes in Marvel Rivals. She's good. Where she kind of lacks a little bit, and all support characters kind of lack, and that they're a bit fragile, is that when people get on Luna, her healing over time isn't going to be enough to allow her to get away. So if someone's coming at you, you freeze them and you try to start running away and skate, those DPS peeps, unless they're melee DPS peeps, can still get up on you, hit you from range, take you out pretty quickly. The healing over time is pretty easily overridden. Luna's a character that, if I'm playing against Luna, I am going to focus Luna. So I assume when I'm playing Luna, the enemy team is going to recognize how powerful I am as Luna and is going to focus me to make sure I can't do a lot of healing, can't be placing out my snowflake, can't be saving my teammates from dying. So the healing over time getting overwritten may be more anecdotal because so many people are going to focus Luna, but that could just be the way that it is. All in all though, with Luna, I am also going to be placing her in S tier. This might be a bit surprising, might not be a bit surprising. I mean, Cloak and Dagger and Luna, they're really powerful, so is Mantis and Invisible Woman. I honestly didn't expect to have 4 S tier characters when I started this tier list. But this is it. All the characters in the S tier, they have multiple options at their disposal. They got a lot of tools in their kit. They have a lot of different ways to heal, well, at least multiple different ways to heal. Some of them got good stuns, some of them got good DPS or blocking capabilities, or they're kind of like a good pseudo character with multiple things wrapped into one, like damage and healing. Or they could just be able to do so much burst healing that they just kind of override the enemy team's damage. I'm really actually pleased that we have this, or at least in my opinion, have this many S-tier characters, because this is just a lot of different good options. We've got characters with lower learning curves, we've got characters with higher learning curves, knowing how to use a stun, knowing how to use a freeze, knowing when to swap so you can cloak break targeting, apply a damage debuff, be able to knock flowers out the air while dealing damage, hit multiple enemies and multiple allies at the same time for damage and healing at the same time without having to use an ability to do so. Just a lot of really great options here. And I would like to know what you guys think of my tier list down in the comments section down below. Is there anybody you would have moved around? Do you disagree with any of my choices? Do you think maybe Rocket should be down here in the C tier? Do you think Ultron should be in the D tier? Let me know in those comment sections down below. Or do you agree? Do you think I had some good reasonings for why I put these characters in the tier placements that I put them? Let me know in those comments down below. And I'm gonna go ahead and take a moment right before the end of the video to say that, well, my Vanguard tier list I'm not happy with. I've gone back and I've listened to it. I didn't like flip-flopping in the middle of it when I did, and then I was trying to do this whole pseudo, this is how much I like to play them, as well as how effective they are. It was just weird, and I'm gonna be redoing it because it didn't do the Marvel Rivals Vanguards any justice. So you're gonna be seeing that come out sometime here in the near future, a revised version of it, and of course I will link the previous one so you guys can look at how bad it was in the description of that video. But other than that, I would like to see you guys for the return of Friday Night Rivals this coming Friday, July the, I don't have the date in my head, the 25th. I'm going to be starting that up, looking at 7:30 to 8 p.m. is when it's going to be starting up, somewhere in there. Usually I try to start up around 7:30 in the evening times for an evening stream. I might have to push this one to 8, but I would like to see you guys back there. And of course there will still be more Marvel Rivals content and gameplay on the Saturday den times, but I'm bringing back Friday Night Rivals, and I'd love to see you guys there. Whether I get to see you or not, I do hope to see you next time. Whether you like, share, and subscribe or not, and it would really help out, and you know that you should, I hope all of you have a wonderful rest of your day, and a wonderful, well, when this video comes out, a wonderful rest of your week.